Thank you. So our next speaker is Joseph Tal, Business Unit Executive, Worldwide XForce and Infrastructure Security, IBM. Joseph is a guru in the cybersecurity space. In the past years, was leading consultancy group in security fields. In 2006, acting as a speaker of XForce Research Group, and since 2014 is leading the infrastructure security business for IBM. Joseph Tal was a member in the cyber program, part of the Israeli National Security Studies, and member in the Yuval Ne'eman Workshop for Science, Technology and Security. יש לך חדש? כן. או שזה? אפשר לשים את זה.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I think, where is Elan? And I think everybody knows what coffee fee is, and now in the perspective of coffee, what he was speaking about, it's a new perspective, so it's nice. Regarding Taiwan, we have an amazing team over there, doing research, R&D in Taipei. I've been there. Thank you for all the research you're doing over there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're doing today in the threat hunting space and how to move from threat analysis into actually threat hunting. I don't know how many of you are technical people, just interested in the space. So just to get a feel about who we have in the crowd here, who is a technical person here? I mean, who is basically doing research? Nice. Interested? No one. That's good. Okay, so guys, I mean, just to start with this, I mean, XForce, IBMcloud.com, this is the space to start, when you want to know what's going on in the world. So if you want to know anything about vulnerability, a source, a destination of attack, any kind of reputation about anything that is going on in the world, the XForce Exchange is basically around 700 or 800 terabyte of threat information as of today. So even the latest worm of ransomware that was starting to spread yesterday, you can basically get all the information of the source of the attacks, the domain that basically are doing the command and control around that in that specific address, and you can learn whatever you need over there. Now, what you see here is basically some of the stats that we are gathering since, in the past years, but this is just, reflecting to 2016. What you see here is basically, it's basically the fact that this is the record ones, right? This is what we know about. 4 billion records was leaked just last year. And we know that because we are basically monitoring the entire cyberspace. We have callers all over the world. We have people that is basically monitoring the actual cyberspace every day, 24 hours a day. We are getting more than 20 billion alerts from our customers every single day. 1.5 billion records was leaked from one single source. So you can imagine how big those leaks are and how influential they are. I mean, I'm not trying to give anyone any ideas here, but I mean, everybody knows what spam is, right? So spam is basically is one of the tools to share information if you want just tell your people what's going on, what is your new product. I mean, even just to say hi sometimes to a large distribution list, you're basically using kind of a mail and spamming the mailboxes of your friends, or sometimes even more. But as you can see, spam is not just a word today. It's basically, in some cases, federal offense. In Israel, I know there is a law against spam. What you can see here is basically the spam moved from, from a place of, used as a tool to share information into basically a weapon. What you see in the purple side of the chart here is basically the fact that spammers are using today this machine of mails to basically inject malicious content into the spam and basically turn it into a tool to, you know, to take control on people's computers and organizations. The spam is basically moved from, I don't know, from where you see here in the chart of, I don't know, around a specific amount of spam that we monitored in the beginning of 2015. We grew, the spam grew 400%. 44% of that spam in 2016 was malicious. 85% of that specific spam was contained with ransomware malicious content. So you can understand that this is basically one of the, you know, fast-growing, you know, tools to make money. Easy. Vulnerability side. As you can see here, 2016 was a record-breaking year for vulnerability discovery. We found more than 10K of new vulnerabilities in the world. And I'm talking about the commodity products. It can be Microsoft, it can be Apple, it can be even IBM, it can be Oracle, it can be Cisco, it can be all the vendors that you know. And we found more than 10K vulnerabilities, new vulnerabilities in the world. That means that each vulnerability is basically an entry point into the organization or the product that we basically examined. As you can see, I mean, the tools to penetrate into various of platforms is basically, the most common use right now is the SQL injection, as you can see here. Also, manipulated data structures that being used to basically to penetrate and infiltrate into organizations and all kind of web services also here. I mean, this is basically some of the data that we're gathering just to understand what's going on and what are the trends in the world. Why is this picture is important? Okay, so this picture is important because we are all living sometimes in a cave. We don't know what's going on. And sometimes just to understand where is the exit or where is the, basically the next step that we need to take, we need to understand and basically visualize it. I mean, immediately when you see a picture, you understand what is it, right? You see a camera, you see a waterfall, you see a bird, you see someone riding a bike. When you see that, you can understand what's going on. I mean, in the Gartner kill chain, there is a specific, you know, milestones and blockchains that you can basically identify and know how basically to track a malware from the inception all the way to the outbreak. I mean, we've done it. We basically developed in our research group a capability to understand and know how basically the next attack will emerge. I'm not able to talk a lot about that, but I can tell you that we are basically gathering, and every piece of information exists out there today. I mean, public information, just to understand what will be the next form factor of the attack. I can give you an example that it's not published yet, but I mean, I can talk a little bit more about it right now. That we knew about WannaCry 4 months before it basically, you know, outbreak, and the world basically suffered from it. We couldn't talk about it because we just, you know, started to gather the information, and we wanted to make sure that we know what we're talking about and we know what we're doing. But this is basically what we are going to do. We are going to provide tools to organizations, and anyone that will need that, the tools basically to understand what will be the next step, what will be the next, you know, emerging threat in the world. This is basically what we're trying to do right now. This is the threat hunting. This is basically the next evolution of our work today. So just to give you some stats, a little bit more stats before we're going to go into the actual, you know, structure of the evolution. I mean, everybody knows those, scenarios or, you know, the stories here. I mean, everybody knows about the breach that happened about agent.bts. I mean, more than 3 million boxes had to re-image in the US military. More than 1 billion of cost to that specific event. I mean, this is amazing. This is huge. Sony, Target, Yahoo, all of them had huge breaches. all of them had zero ability to understand that they are being breached. They had that only after the actual attack. I have more stories here. We have tons of stories. We have the XForce Report, basically telling about all the huge breaches that happened in 2016. You can basically download it, read it. It's around 200 pages. Very interesting reading material. Just get it and read it. Okay, so evolution-wise, everybody knew about the first tier of capability to understand what's going on inside of your network. Firewall, tier 1, SOC analyst had to understand what's going on inside, from the network, from the outside into the actual network of the organization. We're moving into the capabilities of, analyzing the outside world and basically predicting what will basically affect the inside world of the organization. So we're trying to understand exactly what's going on outside to see and basically perform kind of a mirror into the organization itself. Threat hunting is the act of aggressively tracking and eliminating cyber adversaries from your network as early as possible. This is SANS. Based on 3 tenets, this is basically this is the basics here. You can't prevent all attacks. Your network will be compromised. 100% security does not exist. Thus, you must look within the walls. What we are saying here, it's me? Maybe someone basically targeting me right now, right? So the iceberg, the example of the iceberg, you see just the tip of the iceberg. You need to look below the surface. You need to understand what's going on. This is basically the methodology that we're using today to understand what's going inside of below the surface. We're basically saying to our organizations, try to think like the hacker, try to basically predict, try to develop scenarios. We'll help you to basically identify whatever is going on inside of your network or the organization, even before it's happening. Any kind of anomalies or heuristic technology will be more than efficient into identifying all kinds of anomalies within the organization. We have tons of tools, tons of information and capabilities around this space. We can basically take any scenario that exists today and basically work with the organizations to basically translate it into methodologies of interception and deployment of tools to understand what's going on. So what do you need basically? You need first of all, indicators. You need the threat intelligence. You need to have the functional data from the SOC and the SIEM. You need to have the anomaly detection capabilities, the organizational discovery. All those capabilities an organization needs to have all those things to understand what's going on. Basically to have the capabilities to start to hunt threat. And when I'm saying all those, tools, is because, first of all, you have the basic elements of sources, the SIEM, the SIEM, all the records of the organization, the wikis, the case management, the logs, and there is the unstructured data, the social media, the threat intelligence, the news, the malware, all those things that usually you're not tracking with automated tools to understand what's going on. We are basically taking all this information, putting it in information stores and start manipulating this information to understand what's going on. Immediately when we are correlating all this information, we are providing visualization to the organization. As you can see over there, the analyst workbench can provide immediately a view of all the risks that any employee is bringing into the organization. Not only that, we're basically providing statistical analysis. So for example, if there is any kind of anomaly within the organization, we'll immediately be able to know that. So what we're looking at, people, objects, locations, and events. All those things are basically the most important information that we're trying to identify when we are doing threat hunting. We are looking for the information in the networks of the organization, outside and inside, relationships, pattern in the data, and anomalies in the geographies, timing and stuff like that, sequences. We are visualizing basically everything that's going on. How much time I have? Okay. So as you can see here, we are basically providing document analysis. So for example, we know exactly what kind of documents exist within the organization, what is the classification of those documents. We know, I mean, for example, what are the linkage between the people? I mean, who is talking to whom internally and externally? We know, for example, deviation in the trend. So, for example, if there is a connection outside to the world, we know to identify the content that is going out from the organization outside and vice versa inside. I mean, this is basically the most basic elements to identify the threat. We are pulling the information from multiple sources. We are pulling the information from our own data feeds, the Trusteer team that exists today here in Israel, the QRadar platform that is basically doing all the AI, the Big Fix platform that is basically gathering information from all over the world and transferring it to the cloud and into the rest of the customers worldwide, and the I2 capability of the threat detection, threat hunting and detection capabilities. All those things are pulling the information for the incidents and response tool that we have today, which is resilient. I just wanted to say thank you. This is my presentation, and I want to show you something that might excite you. Oh, I need to log in. Oh no. This is what is that? Okay. This is the new, we just established a new lab in Israel for cyber research. We built it here in Tel Aviv. Basically, we gathered all the labs that we had in the Tel Aviv, in the cyber research in Tel Aviv. And what we've done, we basically put everybody there for innovation. We have the biggest SOC in Israel today over there. So basically, I'm inviting you, first of all, to submit, if you're looking for the next challenge, submit your resume to our HR teams. We are looking for good people all the time. So come in, try to give us your feedback on what's going on inside of the security space, and we'll be more than happy to look into it. Thank you. Thank you for staying here, and because I stood between the lunch and you guys. So thank you.
חקרו אותה עם הקפה.